Ladies and gentlemen, you are now listening to the #1 sports podcast, broadcasting Sundays at 9 a.m.-ish in Sacramento, California. Sports Talk 916. Now here are your hosts, Greg Bowl and Coach Greg Barroso.
Well, good Sunday morning to y'all. It is indeed Sunday. It is 9-ish in the morning, and you're tuned into episode number 283 of this little shindig we call Sports Talk 916. I'm Coach Greg. Right over there is Mr. Chief Greg Bowl. I don't know. You see his hat right now, and that's about it. There's his face. Your camera looks higher today. Looks like you're up a little bit higher than normal.
Yeah, I raised my computers up on my desk a little bit.
Okay. Oh, hey, I forgot to ask you, how was Impractical Jokers? Was it as funny as I thought it would be?
No.
Really?
Yeah, I wouldn't pay for them to see them live again.
Really?
Yeah. It was funny. It showcased their personalities and their character personas, and it was a good show. But it was a stand-up show. It wasn't like what they're famous for.
Right. I knew that.
Yeah, they told some good stories. They made fun of each other quite a bit. Joe did some of his wacky stuff that he likes to do. But it was very, very scripted, very choreographed. There were times where one of them would start doing like a belly laugh right before the punchline was even thrown. Like they knew it was coming, and like it just, to say that I've seen them live was cool. But I wouldn't be jumping at the bit to see him live again. Let's put it that way.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
I got some cool, some cool shirts and whatnot with, from the show and stuff like that. And, we had really good seats. I mean, tickets for the show plummeted right before the show happened. So that was nice.
Oh, that's good.
About 6 months ago, we were looking at tickets for the floor, and they were like $150 to like $180, depending on what floor section you were sitting in.
Mm-hmm.
We bought our tickets on Tuesday of this week, and we sat on the floor for $63 a piece.
Wow.
So they dropped dramatically, which was great for us because we got, obviously we got really good seats at a really good price, and we were happy with it. But yeah, I would not pay I would go again, but I would not pay a full price to go see them.
I've seen a couple of their shows they've recorded on, and they've put them on TV, and they do some funny bits, but I could see where it looks very scripted.
Yeah, so just like their season finale shows where they'll do they're at one of the military camps or one of those situations where it's them on stage, and it was just like that. But because it wasn't geared for TV, they didn't show as much of the clips. But it was just like that setup. We'll talk shit about each other. We'll do this. We'll do that. Here's a clip, or here's this, or here's that, and
right. I
don't know. It was cool. Like I said, it was cool to see them to be you could tell that's how they are as people. But yeah, it definitely lacked a little bit of mustard, if you want to say that. Oh,
that sucks. Well,
and Oscar wants to know what national day it is.
It's really bad. I think it's like National Hydration Day or something like it's not a good day for days.
It's good because I drank a lot this weekend, and I really need to hydrate.
Yeah,
I woke up Saturday morning for our race, and was still drunk from Impractical Jokers.
Were you really?
It was bad. I woke up.
Is that why you didn't enjoy it as much? Because you were way wasted?
No, I enjoyed the hell out of it. It was a blast. Oh no, you mean the show? No, we finished getting hammered after the show.
Oh, okay.
I think the show led us to drink as much as we did. But no, woke up at the race and got trashed, or was still pretty intoxicated, and then capped it off yesterday drinking all day again. So it was a good weekend. Flushed flush out the kidneys. Really,
Yeah.
really put a lot.
We need to do a liver flush, is what you need to do now.
Put a lot of like pickling fluid through. TJ, okay, we're gonna keep derailing the show. TJ, how was Toy Story 4? I haven't seen it yet. Don't give me any like stories or synopsis of
No
anything.
spoilers. No spoilers.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for. How was Oscar? You don't give a damn about Major League Baseball talk. And no,
I think he's hoping he missed it, so he
Yeah.
didn't have to sit through it.
This is the first Toy Story movie that I haven't seen on opening night. I've seen all the other 3 on opening night, and I'm pretty bummed. But my kids are in Colorado, and we promised them that we would not watch it without them. So waiting until probably next weekend because they have summer camp all week too. So TJ, you get back to us about that. Charlie wants to switch gears. Charlie, what do you want to switch gears to? Because we're an open book today. We're going to talk a lot about the draft and the Kings and Vlade and things like that. Just a couple quick hitters. If you missed the Sharks news from the week prior, the Sharks signed Erik Karlsson to a massive $92 million 8-year deal. The boys over at Sharks Talk 916 did a really, really great recap show and prediction show on that. You can check that out on our Facebook page or on our website, sportstalk916.com, or subscribe to them on iTunes or Spotify. The Patrick Marleau, former big-name Shark player that pretty much everyone knew, has come out publicly and said he wants to reunion with the Sharks. He just got traded to Montreal. Can you mute your phone, please, Mr. Rosa?
Oh, sorry.
I need to hear your texting. He got
I
traded.
think it was that loud.
He got traded to Montreal, and it's expected that they're going to buy him out, and he wants to hopefully re-sign with the Sharks if there's an opportunity. So that'll be interesting to watch as their season starts. Obviously, NBA Kings and NBA free agency comes up at the end of this month. Oh, you know what? Yeah, nice. That's not how he said it though. Was it switch? Oh yeah, I guess Charlie, you can switch gears on me whenever you want. I think that got blown out of proportion. By the way. Carolina is where Marleau got traded. That's right.
Yeah.
Thank you. LeVar Ball is a dipshit. We could just leave.
I think they were just looking for an excuse to
kick him off.
Kick him off, and I think Molly is wound a little bit tight, and I think that I don't see it as bad of a statement as they made it out to be, like you said, but I think she's just wound pretty tight, and I would be too if I had to sit with those 2 guys every day and put up with their crap.
For sure. We will talk Major League Baseball real quick because there is an interesting thing that came out this week about the Tampa Bay Rays and their continued fight to get a new stadium in Tampa. And their ownership group proposed to Major League Baseball and Rob Mansford that they do a co-city. They share half of their season in Tampa Bay and half of their season in Montreal. And that would be half their home season, obviously. So essentially what would happen is they build a new baseball stadium in Montreal that houses the Rays for half the year. And then in Tampa, the ownership group there can save money on a new stadium there because they'd only be playing in the hot months, to where they don't have to worry about building a dome stadium. They can build an outdoor air stadium, have both the teams play, or have the team play in both stadiums. There's even talks that they may pursue changing the name of the team so that it's no longer the Rays. It's something that could coincide with both cities to allow them to coexist.
It's going to be the Montreal and Tampa Bay X-Rays.
Yeah, there you go. So
that was funny. Come on now.
That was pretty good. So there's a lot of talk about that. I posted that I thought that was very cool of Major League Baseball to open the door on this explanation. you said we were going to have different viewpoints on that. I think you took my fondness of the idea to be perceived as a different take on the actual situation itself. But what's your feelings on?
I think it's the dumbest thing that baseball has ever come up with. And I think it just goes to show you what is wrong with baseball. So here's the fix. Tampa can't build a stadium. Montreal would, but to force how can you get 2 stadiums built and you can't even get one built in Tampa Bay? Tampa Bay, why would Tampa Bay ever build a stadium for half a season? It makes absolutely no sense. And I mean, these 2 cities have nothing in common. In fact, I even heard the other day that there's not one direct flight from Tampa to Montreal. It just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense.
Okay, and I actually agree with that 110%.
Oh, okay, good. I thought I was losing you there for a minute.
No, so my feeling on it is, I think it's absolutely fantastic that Major League Baseball is thinking forward as opposed to just saying, you know what, Tampa, you're losing your team. We're going to expand back. We're going to go back to Montreal, because that's ultimately what's going to happen. They're going to end up selling to the Montreal ownership group, which is the son of the original Montreal Expos owner, who lost out to a new ownership group, who then moved the team to Washington. So it would be bringing. I'm sorry, Oscar. He's attending Rays Twins tomorrow in Minnesota. Poor guy. It's bringing baseball back to a city that never should have lost his team. We've talked about that in length before with James Hines when he was in the chat box this is probably a good 6 to 8 months ago, talking about how the fan base there never wanted the team to leave. They were still supporting the team even with the shitty seasons that they had. The Expos were still very relevant. It was a pure ownership decision to move them to Washington, so to put baseball back where it belongs
and take baseball out of a place it doesn't belong.
Yeah, it doesn't.
It has no business being there.
Florida doesn't deserve a team, period. The Marlins can't field a successful team. Jeter's having trouble down there. The Rays are playing decent baseball, but they're
playing great baseball
with no fan support is the problem. So like I said, in Major League Baseball, as opposed to just saying, okay, your team's being sold or you need to sell, if you can't get a stadium, you need to move. We're going to go ahead and talk about a forefront or a forward-thinking approach.
Okay, so
when that doesn't work, then they're just going to go, guess what? Now it's time for you to sell your team so they can be moved. And I think I like the approach that they're doing, because it's not just immediately saying, hey, you're going to lose your team. And I think that's cool, because if it was a Major League Baseball or the NFL or a NBA or NFL, they'd probably be like, okay, put your team up for sale. Like, it's time for them to move.
They should. If baseball had any balls, that's what they do. Can you take a guess at what Tampa's average attendance is?
It's more than the A's.
Nope.
No, I know. It's I want to say it's like 6,000 or like 16,000 or something like that.
14,545. They are second. They are second to last, only in front of Miami, who really deserves a team with
baseball.
With 9,378 is their average attendance.
And what are the A's at? Like 18.
A's are 24th at 18,853.
Yeah, see, I was close. 18. Yeah. So it's like I said, it's pretty bad. Like they need to fix this, obviously. They need to figure out what's going on, obviously. But like I said, I like the fact that it's forward thinking. They're not just going to disband a team. Like, we're going to give you the opportunity to fix it. If you can't, then we're going to move forward.
Well, there's one other aspect that we haven't talked about, and that's Tampa has a lease through, I think, 2028. And the mayor said under no way is he going to ever bring anything like this to the city council for any kind of approval. He said he's the one that makes that determination, and it ain't going to happen. And so it's really kind of a moot
gentlemen,
point.
You are now listening.
It's a moot point. It's not going to happen. They're not going to approve it. So they're going to either have to break their lease somehow. But I don't think Tampa's ever going to think about building another stadium for half a season. This mayor just doesn't want to do it.
Right. I can see that for sure. It's like I said, it's going to be an interesting situation for sure, regardless, to see what comes from it. But I'm glad that baseball may be back in Montreal. Not that I've ever, been to a game there or will ever go to a game there.
But there's a lot of history in Montreal. I mean, that's where Jackie Robinson started playing, and they've had some good teams. They've gotten screwed over a lot. And so Montreal deserves to have a team.
Yeah, absolutely. They never should have lost their team, just like Seattle deserves a team at this point.
Hey, let me address Charlie's point here. He says, I don't understand how Florida doesn't work when they have hosted the Grapefruit League for years, or maybe that's the problem. Get your baseball out of the way with cheap tickets to spring training games. Florida's not, people make that a destination. They have for years. Spring training is a destination. It's not the people that live there going to the games. And so what happens is they're able to support the spring training, but everybody else it's snowbirds. So people move down there in the summer or in the winter and move back to their homes in the summer when there's no snow. It's not, none of their sports are supported except maybe for the Dolphins. But look at the Heat's attendance. Every time you see a game there, half the seats are empty. It's just not, there's not enough stable, year-round, young, with disposable income people there to support major league sports. And so I think both teams need to go.
So to clarify what you said, you wanted to address what Charlie said. You agree with him 100%.
Well, yeah, no, I agree. I agree that it is they can handle spring training, but they cannot handle year round or a full season. And yes, I misread the second half of that.
Yeah. So like I said,
I do agree with you 100%.
Yeah, and I think the problem is like you said, it's you get it out of the way early. If it wasn't there in the spring, then you know what, they might be able to pull more attendance because people haven't got their
points. I doubt it.
But it's not gonna be a big enough jump to save their team. So that'll be very like I said, very interesting to see how things progress down there. So there's that. Major League Baseball trade deadline is coming up end of next month. There's a lot of talk still surrounding Madison Bumgarner with actually the Minnesota Twins as one of the lead prospective teams, as well as the New York Yankees. That's going to be fun to watch because there is a lot of talk right now about the Giants being aggressive in the prospects they ask for, especially if it's the Yankees, starting with Frazier. And working its way from there. So that's going to be fun to watch. There's going to be a lot of movement, and I think the Bumgarner's velocity is going up, his control is going up, his strikeouts per inning is going up, so his trade value is essentially going up as well. Oscar,
they have some pieces too. The Giants have some pieces to trade. So
yeah, let's see. Oscar says, "Can we have Giants Dodgers talk?" Oscar, you can go get your Giants Dodgers talk out of the ocean. All right. No, we could talk Giants Dodgers if you want to. I don't really know what there is to really talk about.
What did you think? What did you think about all the extracurricular stuff that went on in Dodger Stadium this week with the T-shirts and the organist? And
it doesn't surprise me. The Dodgers are one of the more fickle at-home experiences when it comes to shit like this. It's kind of their. Hold on one second. My mic cord was too short. It was bugging the fuck out of me. They're fickle. That's very Dodger-esque. They always kind of play to that childish canter. all of them wearing the Get It Out of the Ocean t-shirts. They play the Little Mermaid song. So while it doesn't surprise me, it also doesn't bother me at all. It's one of the few budding rivalries in sports that still exists that I grew up with, and I'm good with it. I mean, everyone wants to talk about, the Kings and Lakers or Kings and Warriors rivalry or Raider Niner rivalry. Well, the only real rivalry that still exists right now in our area is Giants Dodgers, and I'm all for it. And you know what? The Giants, for whatever reason this season, only continue to play the Dodgers well. They can't beat anybody else, but when they play the Dodgers, they have really good games. So it's been fun. And the antics have been there, and I'm cool with it. I think Muncie's a little bit of a putz, personally. I think he's pulled that card out with starting shit with far too many people. That's kind of his MO, which I don't know. It is what it is. But, you got to remember, Yasiel Puig had T-shirts made. Someone else had T-shirts made when it came to the Giants and Dodgers. It's kind of their shtick. So it doesn't bother me at all. I like it.
Yeah, that's fun.
Matt,
and I like Madison Bumgarner being a red ass about stuff like that too.
Yeah, TJ says Max Muncy is beating a dead horse. It's like the best thing that's ever happened to him. Yeah, I mean it is what it is. But the Dodgers again are unfortunately the best team in baseball, and they're going to continue to be the best team in baseball going forward. And I just hope and pray that the playoffs come up and bite them in the ass again. We'll see what happens, but you would love Max Muncy in your team, probably. It might give us more home runs than fucking Brandon Belt hits at first base. But I also and I said the same thing about Yasiel Puig. I said I would have loved to have Yasiel Puig on the Giants as well. So, I'm just because they wear blue and white doesn't mean I wouldn't want him on my team. Would I take Kershaw? Fuck yes. Would I take Peterson? Would I take Bellinger? Absolutely. There's no reason you wouldn't. You just can't appreciate them when they're on a team like the Dodgers. So
no. There's a lot of guys like that too. We've talked about that. We're going to probably talk about one of those guys when we start talking about NBA and stuff like that. And that's Steven Adams. You hate him when he's on the other team because he's just a pain in the ass and starts trouble. But would I want him on my team? Absolutely.
If anybody, I'll take anybody we could get. Alex Dickerson for MVP. That's right, TJ. Kid
Dick.
What?
That's the chant that they do every time he gets a base hit.
Really? They chant Dick?
I don't know what the genesis of it was.
If it started in San Francisco, it's because everyone there loves Dick is probably the problem.
TJ, what started that? If you know.
I just told you.
No, that's not it.
It could be it. You don't know.
It could be, but you don't know Dick, so.
I'm glad I don't. Well, when TJ figures that out, let's pay some bills real quick, and then we're gonna get to Kings Talk. Hey guys, I'm excited to announce a new partnership with Antonio Pacheco from Folsom Lake Ford. Tony has been my go-to sales guy for a number of years, and he's come on board to bring the awesome sales buying experience to each and every one of you. All of his information is on our website at sportstalk916.com, but if you're in a hurry and you're looking for a new car, give him a call today. Antonio Pacheco, area code 530-218-7069. He will answer all of your questions in regards to the car buying experience, and he is the main guy that I trust in the Sacramento area for all of your car buying needs. Again, Antonio Pacheco, Folsom Lake Ford, 530-218-7069. Yep. And I want to remind you that Albert Chavez is one of our lead supporters here on the show as well. He is the Mortgage King with United Wholesale Lending. He can help you get into your dream home today, whether it's a traditional loan, an FHA loan, a VA loan, whatever it might be. He has the resources and knowledge to get you the best deal possible, the best rate possible on your loan. Greg Veroza gets you the best deal possible. But you can give Albert Chavez a call. He's step one in the home buying process, 916-230-1537. And then you go ahead and you flip around once you got your approval and you call Greg Veroza and you go ahead and find that property you want. We'll hear more from Veroza later, but Albert Chavez, 916-230-1537.
Yeah. So in looking at the guy's name, Alec Dickerson, it's pretty easy where the idea of chanting Dick came from. And so now every time he comes in, after a hit or an RBI and he comes back into the dugout, that's what they chant.
The players or the fans?
The players.
Oh, okay. That's better than the whole stadium chanting.
Oh, no. He hasn't played at home yet.
I know, but I thought you were saying that was like his.
No. No, that's what the players, but they're pretty vocal about it, and the TV keeps capturing it. So,
of course they do.
Somebody likes it.
Why wouldn't they?
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk Sacramento Kings. If you're in here and you're in a Kings fan group, please share the video to that group so we can get more participation. But there's a couple things coming out from the Sacramento Kings and the NBA that would be interesting to look into. So, first and foremost, the NBA draft happened. Zion Williamson went 1, J.A. Morant went 2nd, and the other kid from Duke, I believe, went 3rd to
New York.
From there, no one cared. After that, it was very boring. The Pelicans traded the 4th pick to Atlanta for a couple of picks, and a couple of cash considerations. Vlade made a cash consideration trade with New York later in the 2nd round to pick what's his name? Something
Guy.
I can't think of his name, but
Guy
out of Mizzou.
Kyle Guy.
And other than that, it was pretty lackluster. The big story coming out of the draft, which I thought was ridiculous, and the NBA might need to change their rules regarding the trade if it's as bad as people really think it is. But it was the big hoo-ha about the whole thing was the fact that, oh my God, these draft players are wearing the wrong hats on stage. How dare the NBA not amend their rules so that these players could wear the proper hats? Look, they're going to go and do a photo shoot with their own damn team when they get there. Those are going to be their fucking picks. No one wants a picture with Adam Silver. Okay, yeah, cool, you were drafted, but no one wants a picture with him. He's not going to make your picture any better. And I sure as hell, and if you get drafted and it's draft day and you're up on stage with the NBA logo and you're at the draft podium, do they really give two shits what kind of hat you're wearing? The fact that was a story over 8 different national media news sites the following morning, to me, was a joke.
I think you're missing the point, though. I don't think the players give one rat's ass what hat they have on. The problem was, did you watch any of the draft?
No, because I didn't give a fuck about the draft.
Okay, so I watched
on this draft.
I watched part of it, and the problem was it was confusing because somebody would get up there with the Atlanta Hawks hat on, and it'd be like, okay, he's wearing an Atlanta Hawks hat, but he's actually drafted by Memphis or whatever. And it was almost ridiculous that I would say a good 70% of the guys going up there were wearing a hat from a team that they weren't even going to play for. They can't. And the problem is the league's year doesn't start till July 6th. And so they have the draft. These guys are being drafted by a team for another team. Nobody kind of has an idea of where they're going. And to top it off, the players can't even have any contact or do press conferences or have any kind of announcement about who they've picked until after the season start or after the year starts, because it has to do with cap and players moving around. And
I don't see a problem with that.
It's just confusing. It's just confusing, and it was silly.
It doesn't matter.
It was silly. If you're watching the draft, and every other player that goes up there is, they're saying drafted by such and such a team, but then they come back going, okay, but he was actually traded for this and this and this, and it was stupid. They know where he's going to go. They already have it all finished. Why can't they just say, okay, he's going to this team?
Let me ask you a question. when a player gets drafted, for example, like TJ just said, Kobe Bryant was drafted, was wearing a Hornets hat, right? When his first game came out in his career, do you remember what hat he was wearing? Answer my question. Do you remember what hat he was wearing?
No, I could care less.
Because they don't fucking wear hats. They wear jerseys. And it only matters when
it's not the hat. It's not the hat.
It does.
It's not the hat.
The draft doesn't matter.
But it's you're not seeing what teams are picking those players up. It's just you know what? So just in that case, just say, okay, the first pick is Kobe Bryant. Who cares what team he's going to? Here's LeBron James. Who cares what team he's going to?
How about you just stop televising drafts? The Major League Baseball draft isn't televised. The hockey draft isn't televised. And you end up falling in love with those players that step on the field for your team. Stop wasting my time with 4 hours of draft coverage.
Then don't watch it.
I don't.
I know.
That I have to read.
But make it so it's at least
talking about the draft is stupid as shit to me.
Make it at least be some kind of relevance on what team they're going to end up with. So back in the day, and this is before you were even born, I bet, Scottie Pippen was drafted. What team did Scottie Pippen get drafted by?
Portland Trailblazers.
Nope. The Seattle Supersonics.
That's what I meant. They're in the same fucking area.
And so he got drafted by Seattle. While they're interviewing him, he got traded to Chicago. Somebody came over and put a Chicago Bulls hat on him.
Great.
So now you know where he's going.
Exactly.
Why couldn't they do that now? Why couldn't they do that now? Okay, so he was drafted by Atlanta, and he gets traded to Chicago. Put a Chicago hat on him. At least it gives you some kind of context as to where these guys are going to end up. If not, then don't pick a team. Don't tell them what team has the pick. Just make the pick and let them go.
Great. That's fine. Or do what James just said. Move the draft back 2 weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the best thing to do.
Fix the
and I think you should have
or make trades that are made on draft day available to be official during the draft.
Yeah.
You're not able to sign people. You're not able to do shit, else. But if there's a draft day trade, it's an official trade. The fact that it has to wait until the moratorium period ends in July is fucking retarded.
It is.
Just a draft day trade, it's an official. First of all, the NBA draft shouldn't even count because it's not even in the league year yet. So all of this is irrelevant anyways because none of it is officially league business.
Right.
So if you're going to make the draft an official event, then anything that happens during the hours of the draft is an official event. If you trade somebody, it's an official trade. There's no more of this bullshit. Oh, well, they're not really the player yet. They can do it. No, fuck you. It's an NBA event. The NBA put on the event. You're now an NBA player. I know you haven't signed your contract, but now we hold your rights. It's an official thing. Make the trades official. There's no reason any of this should even be a fucking conversation. And to TJ's point, he says both the Major League Baseball and NHL drafts are televised. I know they're televised, but they're televised low-key. If you're a super fan of Major League Baseball or National Hockey League, you go and you find your draft. It doesn't get shoved down our throat with 35 hours of coverage like the NFL does. It doesn't get shoved down your throat with 2 days of pre-draft shows leading up to the NBA draft, which, by the way, 90% of those ass faces on fucking ESPN were wrong about who got drafted because there's only 3 players that matter this year anyways. Just scrap the draft coverage. If you want to watch it, it's on NBA Network. Have a good day. It's ridiculous that we're even spending this much time on it. I'm sorry, Ron. I won't use retarded ever again.
He said he's joking.
I know he is, but I don't care. They're gonna shitload of trades.
Who pissed in your Wheaties today? Who pissed in your Wheaties today? You're in a surly ass mood.
What bugs me, like NHL, like Ron said, NHL players put on draft jerseys. On draft day, they put on jerseys. Major League Baseball, Major League Baseball does too. They hold up jerseys. The NFL puts on a hat and they hold up a jersey within the first 25 or first round picks, whatever it is. Why the hell does the NBA roll hats out? Their players don't even wear fucking hats on the sidelines. There's no hat involved with the NBA.
You're stuck on this hat thing, and it's not about the hat. It's not about the hat.
Shut down the draft. College players aren't even good anyways.
It's not about the hat. It's about it's about who's ending up with the player. A couple of those guys with their big hair, the hats were sitting about this far off their head. It was kind of funny.
That's because none of them are smart like De'Aaron Fox, who said, if you draft me, I need a visor. He knew his brand.
Right?
Good. He knew it. Maybe some of these other people knew it. Yeah, and TJ, to your point, every fucking ass face that's my term of the day today, by the way, ass face. Every ass face that said Bowl or fucking Taco Fall were prospects, let alone a top 10 pick, they should all be fired. Every fucking one of them on that damn TV show should be fired. The only thing worse than the NFL rollout of nameless hacks who does NFL draft analysis is the NBA's. The NBA has the worst analysts on the draft. It's so stupid. Hats are for photo ops and who originally drafted them. I know what it is, but like I said, the fact that there was so much hoopla over the fact that the hats were wrong is ridiculous. How about you get mad that there weren't enough good college players to fill out a full draft? Because there was 4 picks. I always drop F-bombs wrong. There were 4 picks that mattered, and no one else cared. 5 picks if you include Mr. Irrelevant at number 60. But even Vladdy fucked that one up and picked a nobody. We'll get to that in a minute. Hey, Vladdy, you know there's only 60 people in the draft, right? Why you're picking a guy that's ranked 145th to me is beyond anything. Bobo's going to G League to be a sideshow. Yeah, so is Taco Fall, who just signed with Boston or Philly. I'm being an asshole. Unfortunately, people are watching in the Goon Squad and in the Kingdom, so I'm getting comments from everywhere, not just in the main page. You're being an asshole today, Sarah. I'm just trying to be more like you. What about the fact that the logos on the hats were so small you couldn't even see who the team was? Yeah, there's that too. Good job.
Not about the hat.
It is about the goddamn hat.
No, it's not about the hat.
It is now.
No, it is now. God, we haven't had. I mean, I'm glad I've never gotten upset at the results of a draft ever in my life.
Ever.
A fucking punter.
Let's talk about. I need a fucking hat reference now. I don't know. It's just dumb. And hey, NBA, you make a fucking buttload of money. Why don't you have jerseys printed up like the NFL does or like the NHL does? How many young is remembered Charlotte drafted Kobe? Yeah, exactly. Every one of Kobe's draft photos, he's wearing a Hornets hat. And nobody gives 2 flying rips about that because guess what? He was a Lakers legend. It's about the jersey that you step out on the court with. Hell, it's the NBA draft is more about
it's about confusion and who gets what and why are they even being announced as a certain team when they've already been traded somewhere else.
You know who's confused? You know who's confused?
Trade the draft. If you trade the draft pick, then you make the draft pick as your own goddamn team and stop there. You don't have to have this stupid, okay, this is Atlanta's pick or this is Memphis's pick. But they're picking actually for so-and-so who they've traded. It just doesn't work.
It's a half-gallon Yeti, Kyle.
If you trade the pick, then that pick. I mean, in the NFL they do it. If the Niners trade their first round pick,
a bunch of monkeys. They know how to make the draft start in the draft year. The draft after free agency.
It should be. I mean, that's the issue. The issue is the draft is
they haven't even been able to fill out the rosters yet.
What?
Why are they drafting for need, especially in the second round, when they haven't even been able to fill out their roster?
No, it's stupid. It's stupid. That's the NBA. NBA does a lot of things right. This is one thing they don't do well. They need to switch their calendar around, and with all of the whining and complaining that's been going on, I wouldn't doubt that the draft gets changed around. It's a week after the NBA finals are over with. It's not, give it a little bit of time to set in before you start doing anything else.
The problem with that is the NBA is worried that they're going to lose their luster in the offseason because they don't have the sustainability in the offseason that Major League Baseball's offseason is pretty damn short. It's right back to spring training. The NFL gets right into the combine and the draft and a whole bunch of other stuff. It keeps your interest going. If the NBA didn't have their draft immediately to keep people talking about the NBA, their flame would dim very brightly, and then they have to ramp back up hard to get everyone back into the light of the NBA. That's why they do it, and it's crazy. Let's touch on a few things in the chat box here. Willie Cauley-Stein talk is coming. Bagley with the bars smashing Lillard. You're wrong. Bagley had the bars, but he did not smash Dame Lillard. Dame came back and beat the shit out of him.
They made up today, by the way.
Yeah. So Bagley, I think, had more intricate words usage and more
production value.
But Lillard came with just straight daggers, and in a rap battle, that's what you want. A rap battle where it's supposed to be a freestyle and you're going back and forth at each other. The production value isn't supposed to be an aspect of it. It's supposed to be what you say, not how you say it. And I'll give Bagley credit. He sounds good, and I think he can, maybe do this as a side thing, but Lillard came and destroyed him. Let's see what else is in here. Kobe draft day is the most famous draft day trade, period. I
don't think it was on draft day, was it? I don't think it was. I think it was afterwards.
I believe it was during the draft because it was known. But yeah, let's talk about the draft real quick, because the Kings, as if we weren't already, nobody remembers that NBA draft has developmental league. Yes, you can draft for need, but nobody knows who's being looked at for the G League. But you would know that you're looking at better G League. Right now, they're drafting for players that they need to play. Except for like late in the second round, you're looking for players to fill holes. If you already filled your holes with free agents, you could look at a kid and be like, you know what, we don't need a third point guard, but this kid's going to be good. We're going to draft him for the G League. It's a whole different dynamic if you're actually taking players based on your actual roster filling out. I don't know. The NBA is just backwards. And I think a lot of that had to do with David Stern, and he was so old in his ways. I think Silver's going to fix that. But to answer, I asked you a question earlier. I said, who's confused about the hats and the draft and the trades and all that other shit? It's old people. It's the Rosas that are like, oh, I don't get it. Why is he wearing a red hat when he should be wearing a purple hat?
It's not about the hat, and that's what I said.
It is about the hat. Oh, let's see here. I just want to get to the Kings pick. So at 40, the Kings drafted Justin James. It's clear to me now that Vlade Divac has a hard-on for guys with two J's in his name. LeVar Ball no longer a Lakers circus. Pelicans are going to need to ban the man. I think the Pelicans need LeVar Ball. The Pelicans need that attention. Why we always got to draft a white shooter like Jimmer and Stauskas? Because that's what Vivek wants. Vivek wants the Warriors to be the Kings, or the Kings to be the Warriors. We drafted Justin James. I'm sorry. He's a small forward, I believe. Shooting guard.
Wyoming.
Out of Wyoming. Is he the kid that had a picture up with his dad or someone wearing a old school Kings hat? I believe he was. He was like in his living room, right? And it was like the old. Yeah, that's why I'm grumpy, Oscar, because my kids are in Colorado. Yeah, there you go. It was like an old Kings hat, the old Sacramento writing like from 10 years ago that he had on his head, and everyone's like, damn, the Kings couldn't even send more hat talk, by the way. The Kings couldn't even get this kid a hat. I looked at the hat, I zoomed in on it. It had the red clearance sticker from Lids on it that said $15. Someone grabbed him that hat. He must have already known that Vlade wanted to take him. Someone went to Lids and actually purchased a throwback hat for $15, and they didn't even take off the bright red sticker on it, which I thought was hella funny. The Kings are looking to trade 47's pick Ignas Brazdeikis to the Knicks. The Knicks then took Kyle Guy at 55, who's going to be traded to the Kings, which I like that pick. And then again at pick 60, they took Vanya Marinkovic. Again, Vlade could have taken anybody at this pick. He could have taken, I think if Vlade was smart and he wanted more people to go to Stockton and watch games, he would have taken Taco Fall. It would have made fans happy. It would have made everyone happy. It would have been a good story that Taco Fall was the last pick of the draft. Instead, he takes a guy who is projected on the player rankings at 152nd out of a 60-man draft. And It blows my mind. It makes zero sense to me at all. And then Kings fans, because, you know, in all of their glory, they love to find ways to justify whatever the hell is going on, right? Sarah, I'll get to that in a second. I'll get to your question here in a second, because I think it is a valid question, but there's a lot of reasoning behind it. He could have taken anyone that made any relevance to the G League for that team. Instead, he didn't. He took a Serbian player, which is fine. He was probably one of the very few. That's standard procedure. You always shop the clearance center if you're a late second round pick. But I think Vlade bombed this draft completely, and there's an indication that I believe that the Kings feel that way as well, and I'll get to that in a moment. But Sarah asked, why is it okay? We talked about Bagley and Lillard going back and forth. Why is it okay that Bagley has a side hustle and Willie Cauley-Stein is inhalated? I don't think that's the word she meant to say. Basically, why is Willie Cauley-Stein crucified for having one as well?
What's his side hustle?
He wants his fashion and, you know, all of his other things, that his art. I don't have a problem with any of these players having a quote-unquote side hustle. My issue is it clearly takes away from Willie Cauley-Stein's focus on basketball.
Yep.
When you don't put in 110% on the job you're paid to do, there's an issue. And Bagley, the only time that Bagley put in any music during the season was when he was hurt and he wasn't playing, and he wasn't even allowed to practice because he was completely shut down. I think that's the difference, is he finds the time to do it that was proper. Willie, while, you know, he is relatively good at what he is doing with his fashion sense and his brand, it's a deterrent. It's a distraction for what he should be doing. And it's relevant, and it's apparent that Willie is distracted 6 different ways from Sunday when it comes to basketball, because he doesn't put in the effort that he wants to do. And Willie Cauley-Stein's agent came out yesterday with a story that basically said Willie wants out. He wants a fresh start. He doesn't want to come back to Sacramento. Exactly. And within 4 minutes, I believe it was last night, Buddy Hield jumps on Twitter. This was at midnight, and Buddy puts out a tweet that says, "You need to understand the bigger picture, or you need to see your bigger picture," or whatever it was. And it's like, oh, all right. Well, apparently the players understand what's going on, but they don't. I believe that was in direct relation to Willie Cauley-Stein. Bagley put on a show in Doko during the season. I'm pretty sure that was when he was hurt, though. He wasn't cleared for basketball when he did that. And if I'm wrong, then that's a totally different thing, and I'll own up to that. But you got to also look at the effort that was put on the floor. If they're both doing their side hustle during their downtime, and then you look at production on the court, Bagley owned up to the fact that he was a basketball player first. Willie didn't. Willie had a fucking shit year. A lot of players have foundations as a side hustle. Never heard a player getting blasted because of their foundation, regardless of how they meh of a player they are. Yeah, but when those meh players come out and they announce that they're a $110 million player and that's what they're going for and that's their next contract, and then they play like a $10 player, that's the problem. You can't put yourself up on a tall pedestal and have multiple things going on and then not live up to your own hype. That's the issue that I have with Willie Cauley-Stein.
And basketball is how he made his name. That's how he's getting famous. That's how his side hustle is going to get better. And his main job is like Greg said, lackluster. And if both of them were producing, both of them were playing at 110% and being dominant every game, like Bagley has been, or as dominant as he can be, nobody would say a word about Cauley-Stein and his side hustle.
If those games where Willie came out and there was like maybe 10, 12 games this year where Cauley-Stein came out and he played a game where literally everyone that talked shit about him's jaws were on the floor. Yeah. And you're like, damn, there's the Willie Cauley-Stein that we drafted. If he played in those games 80% of the time, those style games,
yep,
Willie Cauley-Stein could come out in his own design damn dress for warm-ups, and I wouldn't give two shits about it.
Right.
But the fact is he didn't, and he didn't put in the effort that he needed to uplift him as a basketball player. And that's where the problem with Willie Cauley-Stein was.
Yeah, absolutely. Agree 100%.
Let's see here. I'm trying to find it.
So getting back to the draft picks, I mean, you say Vlade blew the draft. I say, who cares? The chances of a second-round draft pick sticking are 1 in 200, 1 in 500. So, maybe he got lucky on one. Maybe he was taking flyers on people that he thought might be good. But the bottom line is, when your top pick is number 40, the draft is just really an exercise in nothingness. Who cares? Those guys, I can't see. Maybe Kyle Guy might have a chance to get some playing time, but none of those three. I would imagine nobody. Maybe one guy drafted in the second round, or two guys maybe might make a minimal impact on any of their teams, but nobody that we were going to draft in the second round is even going to make a difference. So why everybody's blasting Vlade for blowing the draft? If he would have screwed up in the first round with the top 5 pick or top 10 pick, okay, blast him. But when when you don't pick a name player at 40 that you know about, that you think is going to be an impact, there's a reason they're getting drafted at 40, and that is they're not good enough to play. They're not good enough to be an impact player. So, leave him alone. I'm not. His grade is going to come from free agency this year.
Nope. You first of all, I said he blew the draft. You didn't ask me why. So fuck you on that.
Okay, so why did he blow the draft?
Because Vlade has second most cap space in the league. There were 5 or 6 teams that were openly announcing that they were looking to shed cap space with draft picks in the second round. There were multiple teams around the Kings that made trades for second round draft picks to bring on players that would have made their team better. And Vlade sat on his thumbs. If Vlade wanted to nail this draft, he would have taken one of those 3 picks, if not none of them, and he would have packaged those picks to move in for a player. You mentioned Steven Adams earlier. There's multiple reports that if the Kings would have packaged those picks to Oklahoma City during the draft, there's a very good chance that they would have been able to land not only Roberson, but also Steven Adams in a deal for 3 draft picks. Vlade sat idly, and it's another goddamn sign that Vivek isn't going to want to spend money this season. And that worries me because there's $70 million in cap space that the Kings or $60 million in cap space right now that the Kings are sitting with, without removing the player holds of Harrison Barnes, who opted out, and Willie Cauley-Stein, who they have to keep a player hold on contract because he's restricted. So the qualifying offer sits on the cap until there isn't one. That puts the Kings at damn near $65 million of cap space. I almost guarantee you, I'm willing to bet money, unless a major player, like a tier 1, tier B plus player, decides that they want to come to Sacramento, over half of that money is still going to be sitting in the Kings cap. Vlade is not going to have the green light unless it's a superstar player to fill the roster with quality players. It's going to be a whole bunch of who the fuck is signing that guy kind of moves, because Vivek doesn't want to spend the money, because Vivek doesn't have the money to spend. That's where Vlade blew the draft.
Okay, well then Vlade didn't blow it. Vivek blew it.
Yeah, but Vlade has said time in and time out that it's his team. Vivek has given him the green light to do everything.
Of course he said that.
All right, so you know what? Prove it. And not only on top of all of that, I feel that there's not confidence in Vlade Divac anymore in that front office. And the reason for that is Vivek just went out and instructed Vlade Divac, and Vlade went out and made the move to hire Joe Dumars as his assistant GM. Joe Dumars.
Yeah, you yourself said that was just as good of a. It was a replacement for what's his face, for Chris
Scott Perry?
Huh?
Scott Perry.
Scott Perry.
You misread my tweet then, or my post. They just hired Vlade's replacement. They didn't hire Scott Perry's replacement. That is Vlade Divac's replacement as general manager. And I almost will be willing to bet that that's going to happen in the next season or two, if not sooner. I think that right there was Vlade Divac signing his own pink slip.
I don't know.
Because they did not extend Vlade, if I'm not mistaken, when they did not extend Jaeger, unless I missed it, I don't think Vlade got an extension either. Did he get his extension?
I don't remember. I thought he did.
We're going to need to confirm that because I don't recall. If he did, they might have done it quietly, which is fine. I have no problem with that. But if Vlade Divac is not extended for another 3 or 4 years as general manager of the Sacramento Kings, then I feel that they just hired his replacement. Just like the coach from the Suns that just got fired, I'm not even going to try to remember his name, let alone pronounce it, is the future Sacramento Kings head coach when Bill Walton or Luke Walton either fails or something comes up of this whole conundrum with all the lawsuits. If Walton doesn't succeed or cannot be the head coach, they already have his replacement sitting on his bench as his lead assistant. And I feel that Joe Dumars is going to. Someone posted a photo of Dumars right after he got signed or hired in the Sacramento Kings Goon Squad group that we run. And it's a photo of Joe Dumars on 2 different telephones, like up to his ear. And my caption was, he's on his first day, he's looking to figure out how to fire his boss. And I think it's a good thing if they do, if he can make Vlade better, great. But I definitely feel like that is the replacement general manager because the Kings need a real GM. Never had one. Since Petrie left, they have not had a real general manager.
No, you're right. But this wasn't a oh crap, Vlade screwed up the draft. We better go out and find somebody to help him out. They hired him the day after the draft. You can't tell me that it wasn't, 2 or 3 weeks of negotiations and talking to him before they actually decided to pull the trigger. So hiring Joe Dumars wasn't a reaction to Vlade's, screwing up the draft. It was Vlade saying, hey, I need some help. And, I liked having Scott Perry here. So, Dumars has experience. Hell, he's built a world champion. So,
right. But the thing is, though, I wonder if someone in the front office went to Vlade and said, hey, look, you need to hire an assistant because, for whatever, it'd be good to have one. But in reality, the reasoning is we have a lot of money coming up in free agency and we're not confident that you're going to be able to use it wisely or you're not going to use it to the best of your ability.
But why would Vivek, if Vivek doesn't want to spend any money, then why would he do that?
No, what I'm saying is I wonder if part of it, though, is a concern that Vlade isn't going to manage it properly.
But if he doesn't have the money to spend, how can he manage it properly? And why would Vivek want somebody in there who can manage it and do a good job with free agency when he's not going to pay the money to do it anyway?
We're going to have to wait and see, I guess. I don't think that – I think the money thing is a small aspect of it. It's a probable or it's a potential reason behind the quiet draft. But I think a bigger portion of it is Vlade doesn't understand enough of the GM role that he should not have been in that draft room alone without someone like Dumars or Scott Perry.
Yeah, but who did you want him to draft, though? Who was out there?
I wanted them to be aggressive and trying to find ways to make the team better without worrying about drafting. Who cares about Stockton right now? That's what they did. They drafted for Stockton. Sign those 3 guys that you drafted, except for maybe Kyle Guy, outside of free agents, outside of the draft. There's no need to be drafting these guys. Trade those picks. Yeah. Use those picks for capital. And the fact that he didn't do it, I think it falls back on Vlade just not fully understanding the role of the general manager. Perfect example of that. Look at Mick Kupchak down in LA. They're trying feverishly right now to restructure the deal with Anthony Davis because he didn't understand the cap hits that
No. That wasn't Mitch Kupchak. He's gone. It's the guy that came in that played with Magic Johnson in Michigan State. What's his name?
It was Kobe's old agent.
Yeah, but that's not Kupchak.
Or not Kupchak. That's what the hell is his name? Starts with R. Damn it, TJ will know. And TJ, yeah, Isaiah Thomas and Manu Ginobili. There are diamonds in the rough, in the second round, but the Kings weren't going to find. This draft only had 4 players that were relevant. There was no diamond in the rough in the first round.
Rob Pelinka.
Pelinka, that's the name, not Kupchak. I'm
Pelinka,
sorry.
he absolutely doesn't know.
Right, but I feel like it's the same thing. Like I feel like Vlade did the same damn thing when it came to other trades.
I don't think it's even close. He fucked up one trade. He fucked up that first trade.
But I don't think he fully still understands the entire dynamic that came with especially trading draft picks. He should have had someone in there prior. It goes under the thing. That's why I think you bring in a guy like a Scott Perry, you bring in a Joe Dumars, you bring in a successful general manager, and basically it's going to be sink or swim for Vlade. You either figure it out and succeed, or we've already hired a replacement. Good luck. And I hope it doesn't bring any type of turmoil. I think Vlade and him should work together. They've known each other for a long ass time. But you also have to imagine that Dumars is going to be hungry to try to get back into a general manager chair. And not saying that he's going to like sabotage Vlade or do nothing, but I think he's going to be very active in helping facilitate a lot of these moves that are made. That way, when it all comes down to brass tacks, they're going to look at it and go, you know what? Dumars did a lot of work, and this team didn't get better.
Dumars has been out of basketball for a few years. He's been consulting with teams, and I think it might even be a bigger point is he wants to get into basketball. So, I don't know if he took the first job that was offered to him or what, but it could be a lot of stuff in terms
Sean,
of.
I agree with you. We never know what is going on behind closed doors. I'm going to save my judgment until I see what moves or lack of moves they made in free agency.
Yeah.
I've not been one to really bash Vlade. These are just my concerns. I'm not saying they're true. I'm not saying that I'm hoping for either one of them. It's just those are just my gut feelings that there's something else going on that obviously he's not going to come out and admit like, hey, I don't understand how the draft works or I don't understand how trades work. But I just feel like there's a lot to learn about being a general manager. And unless it's not one of those jobs. I can't imagine it's one of those jobs where you can easily learn it on the fly.
No.
Like you have to know it coming in by being an assistant GM or being in that office before you just get thrown to the wolves. And let's be real, Vlade was thrown to the wolves and he's done a great job, given that. But I just think that after a draft the way that it was and no trades were made and there was potential to make trades, and then all of a sudden they hire Joe Dumars, 2 days after the draft, I think there's a little bit more to read into that than people may want to read into is the only thing I'm trying to get at there.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's going to be an interesting thing. We are 7 days away from when free agency can begin talking, or free agents can begin talking to teams. 3 days after that, or 4 days after that, or whatever, they shorten the moratorium period this year. You can start signing free agents. There's still a lot of talks about Kevin Durant and those guys of like how that's going to work out. Did you see the proposed plan that the Knicks and Lakers or the Warriors have?
Mm-mm.
Sign Kevin Durant to his $54 million a year contract or whatever it would be, and then after one season of rehabbing and getting him back on the court, they have a plan in place where them and the New York Knicks would go out and trade first round picks and a bunch of shit for him and let New York land Kevin Durant. That way Durant gets all of his money that he should have got on a max deal. And then basically the Knicks pick him up after 1 year and they get him for the $185 or whatever it would have been that they got him for. Which I thought for sure that would fall kind of under the lines of like tampering in a way that they've already, have like this hashed out plan, but that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Let's get Barnbaum on it. Let's have him check into
the barn bomb tampering thing. Hey, one last thing before we go. Has our boy Juice done anything fun this week?
No, he's been quiet. He was no. He's been I haven't got any kind of let me see when the last time he tweeted. Great radio right here.
Right, exactly. Let's see here. While you find that, let's just go ahead and do this.
Playing 4 or 5 rounds a week is killing my hands. Any of my golfers out there tell me if Callaway makes a good glove?
Oh my God, he really
that's the wrong OJ.
I was gonna say, good Lord, here you find the right one. We're gonna play.
I got it.
If you or anyone you know is thinking about buying, selling, or investing in real estate, they deserve to have someone working with them that not only knows what they're doing, but will explain everything that happens along the way. That person would be me, Coach Greg Veroza of Keller Williams Realty. I have two goals. My first goal is to coach you through the buying and selling process, making it easy to understand and as stress-free as possible, which isn't easy sometimes. My second goal is to have fun doing it. Come be a part of my team. Let me coach you or anyone you know through the real estate process. Give me a call at 916-241-8068, and let's talk about how I can coach you through the real estate process. Let me ask you one question. Who do you know that's looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate that I should know right now? Again, that's Greg Veroza, Keller Williams Realty, 916-241-8068.
All right. You find OG yet?
Yeah, it's boring. Taking an early look at fantasy football, Patrick Mahomes is my clear number one. But yeah, it's just he obviously doesn't know anything about fantasy football because you don't take a quarterback in the first round.
That's debatable.
Not with the very first pick.
That's debatable.
Yeah, whatever.
Pretty sure that the last time that I won the league, I took a quarterback first overall. So
Yeah, well,
we'll just put that out there.
yeah, whatever.
Fantasy football is coming up soon, though. Looking forward to that.
I know.
I just got my my fantasy football my draft attire in the mail yesterday, a couple days ago. I don't know if I'm going to debut it until the draft, but it's something to think about for sure. It's rather splendiferous.
Splendiferous.
Yep.
Nice.
And then there's also I got two of them, so I'll do two drafts. I'll save one for TJ's draft if he does it again, and I'll do one for ours. Actually, hold on. I'll go get one of them. I'll get the second one, the secondary one, since it's National Hydration Day. It totally fits. So
Okay.
You talk about fantasy football or something, and I'll be right back.
Well, fantasy football's coming up. It's now the draft's taking place, free agency's taking place, rosters are set. Now it's time to start doing your research and figuring out who that sleeper's going to be, who that Patrick Mahomes is going to be. I think the pick this year is going to be Baker Mayfield. I think he's the one that's going to he'll make a huge difference for Cleveland after a year. They put a bunch of stuff. They put a bunch of pieces in place for him to be even better than he was last year. So I think Baker Mayfield is going to be the Patrick Mahomes of this year. But we'll see. I could be wrong, and I usually am. Just ask him.
All right, TJ, cool. You'll be doing a live one this year. I can't wait. So this will be probably the one that I debut for TJ's, and I'll bring this out here on National Hydration Day.
Bobby Boucher.
Bobby Boucher.
Nice.
So that'll be my Hydration Day jersey, and then like I said,
There you go.
I'm not going to display the other one until it's time.
Yeah.
Which I almost wore it today, and I'm glad I didn't now.
Hey, do you ever listen to KMBR during the day?
Sometimes when I'm driving around.
Yeah, they have a couple of shakeups up there. Gary Radnich is out, and he's supposedly retired. And Bob Fitzgerald is out. Fitz and Brooks are no longer.
Oh, wow.
Bob Fitzgerald got fired.
But yet somehow fucking, what's his name? Tolbert and Lundy or whatever it is. London and Tolbert are probably still on the air.
They are. They're not going to fire him.
Those guys. Yeah, Sacramento radio sucks now. We have the drive in the morning. We have Rome, Tiki and Tiernan, and then Grant and Doug. Even 1320, we don't have local anymore. They got rid of the Rise guys too. So
yeah, it's hopefully something's coming about. And if you have any pull with any of those radio stations and they're looking for a team to pick up a couple of shifts,
I don't think I'd want to at this point.
I know, right? And that's right, TJ. So Greg Papa, this is kind of what stirred everything. Is Papa he left his gig at the FM, the Fan or whatever it is, and got hired by KMBR, who he's doing the play-by-play for the Niners this year. He's the lead play-by-play voice for the Niners. And so they had to figure out a spot for him. So I can see the shakeups, but some of them, the Fitzgerald one was a little bit little bit surprising. And Radney said that he was planning on retiring at the end of the year, but he's turning 70 pretty soon, and he decided to do it now. And I think that was just KMBR saying, you've been on here long enough. See you later.
Hey, let's see. Breaking news, kind of, out of San Francisco. Let's see, where's my breaking news button? I guess it doesn't want to play. Johnny Cueto has been with the Giants on this last road trip in Arizona. Johnny Cueto has been on the mound throwing his entire arsenal of pitches, everything from the fastball, changeup, slider, and sinker ball. And everything is looking like there could be a 2019 return for Johnny Cueto in the San Francisco Giants.
Wow. Not going to make any difference, but
asked if they asked about his bullpen session in front of his teammates and coaches on May 18th. Bochy came away impressed. This was a little while ago. I'll tell you, he's close. Bochy said he was sitting at around 88 miles per hour. That's in a bullpen session. So usually your adrenaline's not going that high when you're going out. So usually your adrenaline's not going that high when you are going to get that kind of velocity. So he's on the way. I can't say when he will pitch, but it's good to see him this far along. As for a September return, Bochy says, I'd be surprised if he didn't. So, hey, and it says, in the meantime, Cueto will continue his throwing program while also imparting wisdom to young pitchers. The veteran recently said he taught several hurlers how he throws his changeup, a group that included Rodolfo Martinez, a 25-year-old right-hander who pitches in Double-A. Cueto's primary focus may be extending his career, but he feels important also he helps develop the career of others. So that's pretty cool. Hopefully, that'll bring some new life, maybe to the bullpen and to the team a little bit. So definitely see how that goes.
Oh, their bats have definitely warmed up over the last couple of days.
Yep. And your boy Sammy Spearman, we're gonna go ahead and end with this. It's a long one. And now, crazy quotes from Kings fans. Your boy Sammy Spearman, we're not even going to discuss it. We're literally...
What the hell is wrong with you people?
I forgot about this part. We're not even going to discuss it. I'm just going to read it, and it's going to end the show. So if you want to give all your salutations and goodbyes now, feel free to do so. But remember, this is from your boy Sammy Spearman.
My boy.
Your boy Sammy Spearman.
Yeah, okay. All right. Good night, Larry. Good night, Sammy.
And I quote, # bring Willie Cauley-Stein back.
Oh, God.
We'll see you next week, everybody. Bye-bye. Oh, happy Rusev Day. Happy Rusev Day. WWE Day today.
Oh, God.
We'll see you later. All right. Bye-bye.